from boredom and from pain.
All right, there we go. I see some movement now. Now we're going to have to go backtrack and do it. But we got our guest, and I didn't catch your name, ma'am. I can't remember your name. We talked on the phone.
My name is Tara Hallmark.
Tara? No, you're fine. You can if you wanted to.
My name is Tara Hallmark.
Tara Hallmark. And you're running for?
I'm running for House District 120.
That's right. I seen you at the party thing. Okay, thank you so much for joining. You're actually our first guest in the studio. I'm privileged now. I got some. Hopefully the viewers come back on, but we're going to start this afresh and anew. Everyone, sorry about the technical difficulty. Let me get my transition there. We're back on the screen, and it's still working. I hear that beep, and that's not a good sign usually. Things aren't being connected, so. But I think we got connectivity here. Let me refresh this. There we're getting a little bit of action there. That's the old one. We're all looking at the screen together, so don't worry, everybody. There, now we're live. Now I'm going to hope until people chime in and tell me otherwise, everybody can hear me. Hopefully my wife upstairs is listening too and can say, yes, we do hear you. But anyway, everybody, sorry about the technical glitch. Doug Fowler here, Pulaski Talks. We're going to get back to what we were talking about that you didn't hear about. It was a fascinating conversation. But going back to August 6th. August 6th is the primary election, and we're basically focused on what now?
We're basically focused on doing the primary for like the seats of governor.
Right.
Lieutenant governor, secretary of state, treasurer, attorney general. Then you've got things like public administrator,
right.
I think, and a couple of other, you've got your House seats that are running. We've got the 121, which is Brandon Schwartz for the Democratic side.
Right.
And Miss Hallmark on the 124 for the Democratic side.
You can wave, they can see you. Camera's right here. There you go. Thank you.
She covers basically the Lakeway, Richland, Dixon, Crocker, and then parts of Miller County.
All the way up to
all the way up to Eldon. So she's got a wide branch there, but basically, a small section of Pulaski County. Brandon has the majority of Pulaski County,
right,
which is Waynesville and St. Robert and Fort Hood.
Who's Mr. Hedrick Dixon? What's his name? Who's our representative up there? I thought
it's Don Mayhew right now.
Who's the other one that was up on the stage?
Bill
Hardwick.
Yeah.
See, I told you I knew the names.
Yeah.
I could probably spell them, but I didn't get it right. So
yeah,
Said the
Bill
other name.
Hardwick is 121.
5x5. Thank you so much, Mr. Weber. I appreciate it. There was a technical glitch. I'm going to blame that guess. So, talking August 6th election, it's the primaries, and we have how many candidates? We have quite a few candidates. I'm going to pull up the ballot, and everybody actually see once we're ready. It's not up there yet. We got explain the difference between the primary when it comes to party candidates. We talked a little bit before we went off the air accidentally because of Tony's fault. But we have two parties. We have, in this case, in Pulaski County, we have 5 running for sheriff, the Republican Party. I've understood there may be an independent.
There is. It's been validated on Friday.
It's been, okay.
She got certified Friday.
Certified Friday. So there is an independent, not an independent party. There is no such thing. But we have no candidates in the Democratic Party for sheriff. How's that? What does that mean for the voter? And we'll talk about pulling the card, the one you cheated and asked the question for.
Basically, what you have to do is when you go in and you identify yourself and you show your ID,
right?
Then we ask you, what flavor of the month you want to vote on.
Right.
So you tell us what ballot you want, whether it's Libertarian, Green Party, Republican, Democrat, or Constitutional.
Right.
Then we give you the ballot that you request. Okay. The problem with some of this is if you want to vote for the sheriff, and it's the main thing that you want to vote for, you have to pull a Republican ticket.
Right.
Okay. I, as a Democrat, am concerned about the governor race And basically, I want to pull the Democratic ballot
Right.
because I want to give my opinion on who runs for governor. Okay? If you pull the Republican ticket, you can only vote Republican.
Right.
In other words, whoever's running on the Republican for governor, and you've got 4 running for governor, and I think
Quite a few.
3 of them are sponsored by Trump.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure how that works because I thought they're only supposed to endorse 1, but he's endorsed 3, so it's flip a coin.
Sure.
As far as that goes. But like as I said, the Democrats have, I think we've got 4 on the ballot also, but only 2 of them are really running.
Right.
Or that I've seen any commercials or seen any.
So if you pull the Republican card, you can't place a vote for the Democratic one you want for governor.
Right. So therefore, I feel like I have to pull the Democratic ballot.
Right.
It's not that I'm not concerned about who's
Sure.
sheriff but as I said before, my thing with the sheriff is that I believe it should be nonpartisan because, as I said, when you pull the ballot for sheriff, okay, when that sheriff gets elected, he doesn't care
Right.
what party you belong to. You call in 911 and
Yeah.
say, I've got to have help. He wants to make sure you got help. He doesn't care whether you're Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Green Party, Constitutional. He doesn't care.
Who decides
He
if
does
that's a political position? Somebody run for House office elected?
Yeah, so one of the interesting things and why the sheriff might not be the best example, maybe
Okay.
the court clerk,
Okay.
or administrator, I think anybody could argue solidly they probably don't need a party.
Right.
However, the sheriff's the most powerful person in the county. And
Quote unquote.
That's right, because he gets to choose what laws he's enforcing. He pairs up with the prosecutor, and technically they're supposed to enforce all the constitutional and all the laws of the state and the nation. However, they only have a certain amount of capabilities. So
Sure.
they get to prioritize, and that's the terminology that we need. So
Right.
we're prioritizing these cases. We're not prioritizing these. So when you run out of capabilities, whatever
Right.
sheriff's priority is, and let's just play a devil's advocate for both sides, right? So each person's way of thinking, whether I just use common terms, not the terms I usually use, but a left or a right thinking person, right?
Mm-hmm.
If somebody's a little bit further left, a little bit right, they get to determine on their priority of actions the way their attitudes are.
Sure.
So the sheriff gets to say what they're going to enforce, what they're not going to enforce,
Right.
how they're going to spend the money, how they're not going to spend the money. The sheriff also has discretionary and non-discretionary funds.
Right.
So they get to determine where those go by line numbers. And I've been in a lot
sure.
of those things. So the argument over who can do the best budget,
Right.
right? And we really need a streamlined budget that meets all the capabilities, increases our totality capabilities, and that's what we should be looking for. Strategic planning,
Sure.
things of that nature, long-term planning, somebody that can do that. But then to go back on the other side, what Mary Frances was saying, the greater majority of the time, those individuals are law enforcement, and they've been serving the people for so long. I mean,
Sure.
all the people running have been serving in our county for 10 to 20 years.
Yeah.
They just want to serve the county. So now it's kind of unfair that it goes back to the other side that one doesn't get to vote for
Yeah.
them anymore.
Exactly.
Because look, the Republicans, the Democrats, and the Libertarians have sizable primaries.
Right.
I mean, ordinarily I tell people, "Oh, that sheriff's the most important thing. You shouldn't put." But I wouldn't say that to the Democrats or the Libertarians this time.
Right.
I'd say you got plenty to vote for. The Libertarians are looking at legacy people that might break that 33% this year.
Well, let's go back to the question at hand. If I want to change that law and remove that from a political partisan position, who does that?
It would have to go through the House and
The
Senate.
House.
House and Senate, yeah.
And we have how many people running for the House?
Well,
Well,
we've got a lady sitting.
Well, I was going to put her on the spot because I didn't.
So right now we have 4 in our county.
We have 4 representatives in our county
2 Democrats.
out of how many in the House?
I can't remember. It's like we have 114 counties, so it's
So-
pushing somewhere around 200. I'd have to look.
200.
It up. I can't remember, but it's
It's got to
a
start
lot.
somewhere.
We have 114 counties, and some are multiple numbers.
Okay.
So it's
I have to take that on.
Yeah, I'd have to look that up.
It depends upon the size.
yeah.
Sure,
the
sure.
size-
You get more representatives just
Well,
by population.
Yeah, population.
It's like Jackson County has more than one representative.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And St. Louis, you've got your county.
Pull that a little
and
closer to you, please.
you got your county and your city
Sure.
in St. Louis.
Yeah.
So, it's like we've got 114 counties plus the
Yeah.
city of St. Louis.
And Kansas
Because-
City, too, is the same category?
Cape Girardeau,
No.
Springfield, Kansas City.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, because the prosecutor in Jackson County is a B level, and St. Louis County is a C level county, just like Waynesville, St. Robert, Pulaski County is a C level county prosecutor, which basically a C level prosecutor is a part-time prosecutor.
You can't tell me Kevin Hillman's part-time.
Well, technically he is.
Is he really?
Yes, he is.
He might
is.
arm wrestle you on that.
Yeah, because I bet he don't feel like he's part-time.
No, none of them do.
Yeah.
But technically, as this, let me qualify this. I worked in child support
Right?
for the state for 25 years. I worked a total for 28 years with the state before I retired. Part of the job that I did was reviewing the prosecutor's offices. That's why I know there's A, B, and C level counties. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The part-time position, how the state considers it, is somebody that has a certain amount of hours. You may work 40 hours.
Mm-hmm.
However, as far as the county is considered, it's considered a part-time county, where they don't have prosecutors that are hired to do and cover specific things. Our prosecutor covers everything,
Gotcha.
whether it's murder,
Right?
whether you're late on your child support,
Right?
whether burglary, etc. He covers all of that.
Okay.
In an A-level county, you have a prosecutor for each section. You have a prosecutor that just handles
Right.
murders. You have a prosecutor that just handles child support. You have a prosecutor that just handles burglary and theft. So each county is set up differently, and that goes back
Sure.
basically to the establishment of the state.
Right.
It's how it's been run.
Yeah, I sat on 2 committees for redistricting.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy.
Oh, I can imagine. The gerrymandering that goes on around that kind of stuff.
One thing we kind of skipped out on.
Yeah, go ahead.
We didn't define how you could vote independent. Now, it's unaffiliated in Missouri. That's what we say, they're unaffiliated. So that's also a choice that we miss. So let's say that you aren't Republican and you're not Democrat, you're not Libertarian, you're not Constitution Party, and you don't want to vote in the primary. There's still issues to vote on. So
Right.
you can come in as an independent. I'm not voting in anybody's primary. I'll wait for, well, don't wait. There's issues on the board. We'll show it on the ballot
Yeah.
here in a minute. They're important to vote on. And they're probably interested. Independents will be interested.
Now, which ballot would they be pulling?
It's another ballot. And
Also.
it just has the issues on it.
No candidates.
No candidates.
Okay.
So you can pull that if you want.
So how does the now affirmed independent political candidate won't even be on this ballot for August 6th? Well, they'll be on the.
It goes straight to November.
Gotcha. That's what
Now,
I
she had to go out and get signatures.
Yeah. How many?
Well, I believe they needed 249,
Right.
250. She got 300 plus.
Okay.
Because you have to get extra when you go
Yeah.
get this. Remember, I got 10,400 when I did my petition.
Wow.
And there was I just barely made it over the 9,500 because that many didn't come through. They have to be legible.
Okay.
and They have to actually be registered voters, and people think they're registered voters.
Oh,
Something
sure.
We'll talk about in a minute. They think they're registered. They show up and they're not.
Yeah.
Well, some of the signatures could very well, the group down there has to certify it line by line, signature by signature, and validate all the signatures.
And the signature has to match.
That's why I heard that too.
Yeah, it has to
you know,
be.
you different signatures I have.
Well, I know how many I have because I have a very complicated name. Okay, my first name is Mary Frances.
Right.
I have a middle name too. It's my mother's maiden name. Okay, and then I have my maiden name, and then I have my married name. So it's like it gets long. Okay.
My wife would tell me mine. I signed my name Duffa. That's all he's Duffa.
And I was getting signatures at the football games, at malls, in alleyways, and if you couldn't read it, you'd have to say, "Excuse me, no, I already signed on." So you're like,
Yeah, scratch that one.
It's a good task. I mean,
Sure.
somebody worked hard to do that, so you want to be fair and reasonable, give them a chance. So we won't hear from her until after the primaries.
Okay.
I mean,
that makes sense because you're voting your party. It's just
She did her work.
it's just so exactly. She's entitled to run. It'll actually make it interesting as far as I'm concerned. I'll get more guests on my show because I'm sure she's going to want to come on. So who is it? Regina?
Regina Utley.
Regina Utley, and I don't know much about her. Did she work at the jail? I heard.
My understanding, she had some kind of capacity
In the current sheriff's department.
But I don't know her, and I don't know her capacity. So.
Gotcha. Well, hopefully she's listening, and you're welcome to come on the show after the primary's done with. So let's talk about next week what's going to happen. For those that have never voted before, what should they be aware of when they've registered? Well, let's go back to registration. Where can they register to vote?
So they can register online. They can use this webpage.
Let me bring it up.
Yeah. Ways to vote. It's the second toggle.
Oh, come on, there it goes. I'm going to move us back. So that's what they see right now on the screen.
So if you click on Ways to Vote.
Ways to vote.
It'll show the Pulaski County information, and you can go to the state information too. So.
Okay.
Now you can see there's different types. So
right.
If you wanted to vote on Election Day, they're going to tell you how to prepare for it. And if you did absentee voting, they put the timeline and the dates in there, how to do it, how to apply for it, how to validate it. And absentee is the same thing. So
probably just as important. The next one, we got ways to vote, where to vote, and this just hopefully Dave's got limited to. He's got a map on there and everything.
So if you know you're not going to be in town,
right,
or you're military and you might be overseas, you might go TDY. You want to get on the portal in the Secretary of State's and register yourself in the Secretary of State's portal.
Okay.
Then you have more options of how to vote when you're not here. But if you know you're going to be on vacation in November, you can go and set yourself up for absentee voting now.
Okay.
Or maybe you're going to have a special project. You're in town, but you're not going to be available that day. As soon as you know, go in and do early voting. Now you can vote 2 weeks out also.
Okay. Yeah, because he's been promoting it very well, I think. Yeah. Now, next question on the tab above there, voter registration. Now, the question I have: who is not allowed to vote? I know this question's come up before. If you've got federal convictions, of course, it tells you right there.
Yeah, certain levels of a felony, certain timelines.
Right.
Individuals that are incapacitated.
Sure.
Or if they have a guardianship that the judge states they're not able to vote on their own. However, all the disabilities that allow you to vote, we have special machines, we have assistance, we have a method to make sure that you get taken care of.
Okay.
And you can have an advocate come in and help you. You don't have to rely on the judge supervisors will help those individuals together as a team. And so no matter who you are, whatever your difficulties are, we come out to your car. So if you have a disability, you might say to yourself, I'm not eligible because I can't get in there. Oh, we'll come out to you in the parking lot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And we team up and go out, help you out, whatever it needs. You're blind, we have systems to help you for that.
I kind of look like voting is it's your opportunity to not only complain, but to take action against what you complain against. And if you don't take the opportunity to express your opinion regarding a policy or a person, you almost forfeit your right to complain. If you're not going to vote, then why bother? Now, if you can't vote, that's different.
So I wanted to point something out on this page.
Sure.
So right where your little cursor is, Missouri Secretary of State's page. So that
right
takes you to this section on the page. And they explain everything.
Okay.
That's why I didn't want to misspeak. But on there, it'll answer your questions.
Okay.
You might have to dig a couple of toggles, but it's there. So that's what the county's like done. Here's the county information, quick information if you want to go deep dive. And you could even go read the regulations when you hit the Secretary of State's webpage.
Simple website. And if you up top there, it's PulaskiVotes.org, O-R-G, PulaskiVotes, one word.org is where you can go to now.
Yeah.
The sample ballot, that's what everybody's curious about. I'm going to pull on the screen here.
Click on, you already got it.
I got it up. Now, this is, I believe, the dual.
So this is what's called a combined.
Combined one, yeah, the combined ballot.
It's not what you're going to see.
Right. This just shows you everything that's going to be on the combined two ballots.
Yeah. And the Republican Party starts it out, and then it'll have the Democratic Party and then the issues.
Okay.
So you can see it's pretty extensive in most of the areas.
Yeah.
And for both parties.
Crocker Police Chief, gotcha. Thank you, Mr. Weber. I can read the comments. You can't.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I had a question. Did you say something about the coroner is or is not a political? What am I going to talk about?
The coroner is
a partisan position.
Partisan position.
Okay.
I don't believe. Yeah, you've got a coroner running.
These are all
on the Republican side.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we've got one.
Well, you won't see it here because it's uncontested. And
Sure.
You have some committee members that
Sure.
and they're not on here because
Right.
it's already settled.
Right. It's kind of like
It'd be confusing.
there's no, once the elections, well, it was before Regina registered, if whoever won the party would have won the sheriff.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So in this instance, this particular time,
Right.
that's not true because they will actually have an independent running for in the general. So
So they'll give it a full-fledged election. So
Yes.
presidential election and the sheriff election will happen in Pulaski County.
That's right. Because of
And other parties as well.
Friday got certified, so now we have an unaffiliated.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Right. Sure. Another chance.
I like variables. They bring things up. What else you want some folks to know about this ballot here?
So
Or not the combined one, but in general.
here's something that we run into a lot as supervisor judges.
Okay.
So one of the reasons why we like to get out to vote, when you have these issues, they're written in such a small way, and they're depending on who drafted them at what level,
Sure.
they have to be written a certain way. Well, it's very confusing. Sometimes when you're voting yes, you mean no. And when you're voting
Right,
no,
right.
you mean yes,
Mean
right?
yes,
So when you come in, if you're not familiar with the issues, like let's say you didn't hear us before you voted.
Right.
You walk in the door, there's going to be a big sheet, a long sheet that explains it better.
Okay.
Now, I'm not telling you every single time it makes complete sense, but you could stop there. You don't have to lose your place in line. It's going to be on the way into the
Okay.
voting in most places. You can go in there and read it, and it's a long version. But if you ask one of the supervisors for help, all we can do is read it word for word and show you the long version.
Right.
So it's all self-help because we're not supposed to.
we can't put our opinion.
Yeah, I can't put our opinion in there.
We can't try to direct how you vote.
Right.
It truly has to be nonpartisan.
Nonpartisan.
When we're
Sure.
talking about the issues.
That's why there's one from each party.
And we work really hard for everybody to be comfortable
Sure.
and feel good and celebrate the fact they voted. And what party you're in, how you voted
Right.
should not even be part of that day except to you personally.
Right.
Or
Except for the
maybe-
ballot.
Well, my wife and I, we sit together. We do that
Yeah,
together.
sure.
know,
Sure,
so-
we speak with one voice.
Yeah.
But except for the ballots, they're different ballots.
If you like somebody, I don't want to vote that way. Just teasing.
So that may be some kind of issue I take on is get that. If I one thing in my life is get the
Hey, Doug, man, people come in, they're scared to vote.
sure.
And when we see it, we calm them down. We go over together, we talk to them, and or they're first-time voters, and
Usually, if they're first-time voters, we try to make a big deal
Yeah,
out
we
of it.
sell
You
it.
know,
Well, that's a good thing, especially
we holler out. We got a first-time voter here, and everybody calls.
especially for the newest Americans, the ones that have been
Yes.
naturalized and gone through the process and are eligible to vote.
That
They're
is
probably
exciting.
they're probably the first chance they've ever had to explore that right.
yeah, we've had a few. There's a lot of 18-year-olds every year.
Right.
And then we spray them with whipped cream. No, maybe that's just in my mind. That's just in my mind. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But when
Let
you
me go-
read
let me go
these, they
back
can
here.
be
Give me a
confusing.
second.
The Secretary of State's webpage also has the long version.
Okay.
Not for every one of them, because some of them are local. Then the only place you're going to find it is on the wall when you come to vote.
Okay, with the details and everything.
Yeah.
So, but it behooves everybody that's interested in this and what's on the ballot to read ahead and study up and make an informed decision, just like whether you're voting for an issue or a candidate for office.
Yeah, see, I already voted because I will be working the polls.
Sure.
It's typical, right? And of course, you can go in tomorrow morning also from 8 to 12.
Yeah,
and
I
vote
just sort of-
Monday 8 to 5.
Somebody just posted that. I can't remember.
Okay, yeah. So 2 weeks out, you can vote for any reason that you want to. So when the presidential vote comes up, I work Waynesville. That line was all the way down. Shoot, we were in St. Roberts in that line.
Really?
And people were bringing their walking sticks to get to the voting lane.
Thank you, LB. LB Page says Regina is currently the road lieutenant for the sheriff's office. So
Excellent,
I
excellent.
did not know that. Thank you so much for sharing and watching and listening.
I knew she had some capacity, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, you can't figure it out from the website. I'm just going transparency again. That doesn't matter who's in charge of it. You can't figure it out. You can't find anything.
Yeah.
I'm digressing and derailing.
So when November comes along, all the line, we're going to go over the numbers here in a minute. Of what
Okay.
happened. So you'll realize the change in those numbers. So maybe this time on the 6th, it's not so much of a concern. But November, if you want to early vote, I suggest doing it. And you can
Yeah.
vote in the basement of the
courthouse.
Yeah, they're real
Or
good.
can you go into the first floor right there?
You can go in there
Okay,
and
get a ballot.
and get a ballot. Most of the time, they'll service you every time.
Okay.
But when they have a system set up downstairs, it's better to use that one.
Let's get into some statistics. This is my favorite topic. Statistically, What are we looking at as far as turnout in the primaries?
Okay, so I got some numbers for you.
Okay.
And I have always done the numbers by estimate because I'm pretty good at estimating these.
Right.
I'm always within 3%. So I was upset with Waynesville during the mayor vote.
Right, right.
I just start off with that one to show the funness and how important it is to understand these statistics. So, and I'm going to look at my sheet. So in Waynesville, there's right around 7,000
Right.
registered voters, 7K voters. 950 voted last time during the mayor election. 13%.
Wow.
13% during a mayor election.
Was there any studies
Steve-
as to cause?
Well, not that I know of.
Okay.
I guess if me and Mary
It's
Frances
you and
did
her.
it would happen.
Uh,
I mean, we do it because everybody talks to us.
Sure.
Like 3% of the people in town talk to me about something other than politics.
Right.
The rest of them, it's always politics.
Right.
Because we usually know.
Right.
It's just one of the things we know. But that was 13%. It was 6% the election before.
Really? 6% at the primary?
So it doubled.
No.
No.
Or at the-
16% the last mayoral
Okay.
running
Gotcha. From
Right.
Waynesville. Gotcha.
from Waynesville.
Yeah.
And this time it was 13%. So
Well, that's
it
a
doubled.
good trend.
It doubled. But if you stop and think about it, 13% choosing
950
your
votes.
mayor is not a good percentage.
Steve Lynch lost by 57 votes. It might be 59, less than 60.
Right.
So
That's why if you really care about it,
your vote matters.
it really does, especially in April 2nd. That was very close and hard. I don't know. What was our turnout there for the county? Do you know?
well, we could look it up real quick. I probably have it in my notes, but if you wanted to know it, it's really easy to look up. So go.
I can't type.
Oh, you don't have to type anything. Yep, just go back to that one page, the Pulaski votes.
Right.
Yep, and then click on Dave's name. This is the easiest way to always start out.
Oh, nobody knew this.
Click on Dave's name. Now you go down and look for election results, like fourth one down. Click on that one.
Okay.
Now, which one did you want to know about? April?
Yeah.
Go to combined under the April one. Yeah, click on that.
I think I hit Waynesville.
So up in the top left corner,
Is this
you're going to see
combined?
7,276 in the county.
13%. That was Waynesville. Sorry.
This is Waynesville, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I gotta go back.
950 voted, 13.6%.
Let me turn the screen back on.
Hey,
There you go. Just go down to election where it says combined.
Yeah.
You hit one up. You would.
Yeah, I hit the. I mean,
That's all right. You're on it.
there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we
There
go.
you go.
So we have 26,000 voters in the county, 2,866 voters.
10.85%.
That's harsh. We used to lead the state in the 70s. When 2012, we were always in the 50s, and we were leading the state in voter turnout. Now we're all the way down to 11, 10, 9% in our elections.
And the county lost funding because of the low turnout because of that one tax issue with sales tax.
The minimum expense for an election is $36,000. And I
Right.
think now, because of all the added expenses, you will start at $50,000.
Really?
And that's just basic funding to run the election.
10.85%.
So if we're going to spend the money, you should show up.
Yeah.
Any estimate? You've been mucking around in the bush, and we got a good feeling about this election on next week.
Hey, it opens up at 6 and
Yeah.
it closes at 7. You can make it.
Yeah.
Come in at 6 in the morning. We
Any
got
sense
breakfast.
for what kind of
Okay.
turnout's going to be? Go ahead.
This is what I was upset about. So I estimated, this is the first time in years where I had mud on my face and I lost a lunch over this. Not that I gamble, it was just all in fun. But I said 23% of the people were going to show up based off of the last 4 times we had a mayor.
Right.
So I said, well, we've been running about 18 to 20% lower every election, and now we're 30% lower. So I split the difference, said we're going to be at 23, and
Right.
we're at 13.
Wow.
So, but listen to this. That same election, Lakeway, 5%. Well, the interesting thing there, Sweetburg was at 10.95, so 11%. But they
They got,
but only 44 people voted.
yeah.
So,
So 4 people.
yeah. And then Big Piney, it was 9.7, so 10%, 24 people. So when Waynesville and St. Roberts, they don't vote, that's where the big
Yes.
changes are. So the thing was, St. Robert didn't have much to vote on, so they were at 5.84%.
I wonder if folks are feeling dissuaded by thinking that their vote really doesn't matter. I don't know what would cause that.
Well, I think part of the problem with like St. Robert's was that was the morning after
Right.
that big wind that came through.
Right, I remember
I
that.
think there was like actually a tornado, but
Power went down.
power
Yeah.
went down. I'm sure that a lot of people were like, I don't have power. I doubt they have power at the polls. They just didn't bother
Right.
because they didn't think they would be able to vote, so they just didn't.
And St. Robert's powerful. They had that system. It never went down. They had generators all set up. And I was sitting at Waynesville supervising. I'm like, if the power goes down here, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
So I had to walk around to try to figure it out. But we never did.
We are the capital of Southeast Missouri. I don't care what anybody says.
St. Robert did that. The radios all came in and said, "Come on, let's go." But
Yeah.
how many people sitting at home? I don't want to deal with the weather. But
Well,
but
they actually.
the time before was only 6% too, so we only
Wow.
lost 1%. So
I mean, you can see why these sheriff's candidates, the 5 of them, 4 of them actively campaigning, they are literally kicking the pebbles and looking underneath every rock for every possible vote because they're only going to get, if they get an average, let's say just 20% of the voters, which is, we'll do my math, that's 2,000, was it?
here's a number that might be interesting for people.
Okay,
So last 2020, the primary was 9%.
right,
Okay, but the general election was 56%. We led the state.
okay,
We were in the top 10 of the state. So when you look at those numbers and you look at the primary turnouts, you literally can change the vote in any of our elections at the general elections by 13%.
wow,
Our split's usually there. So, and it's very, very hard to do anything but estimate those numbers because in general election, they won't show your party.
sure,
So for us to do that study, you have to be observant.
Right.
You have to be in the game. You have to understand. You got to look at the turnout. And I would tell you, and this might be unfair, but that's why we need more election judges. All the people that vote in Richland, I could tell you which ones are the regulars. I know who comes
Really?
in. And
I can do the same in Lake.
oh, I bet,
Yeah.
I bet,
Because we have such basically small numbers showing up
Yeah.
that basically you get to know people.
Yeah.
Most of them are neighbors, that kind
Yeah.
of thing. So you recognize people, they're teachers, that all kinds of various different people. But in a small town, we're not even really a town in Lakeway because there's just like
Don't
the
hurt my
post-
feelings. I live downtown.
that's reality bites, sorry, there's no downtown, it's the street.
We got a post office.
Yes, we do have.
I seen the post office. Isn't it one of those sheds you buy?
I almost advertised
just
for the
saying.
guy next to us.
Hey, well, just a real break. If anybody does have a question for our esteemed guest today, you can call in today at the number at the bottom or text us your questions if you have any questions. Or, of course, you can post them onto the Facebook live feed. We're sitting at 32 minutes, so we're doing good on time. We need to get a better turnout. And I can say for each of the candidates that have been in this office in my studio at the Capitol in Southeast Missouri, St. Robert, not in the executive suite. You see my show the other night? It was the executive suite and had a background graphic. It looked like it was an executive conference room.
Let me do a couple of things.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Because we got good conversation come up, but I want to get down to the nitty gritty about voting real quick.
All right.
Just to help people show up and be able to vote with no fear. So we have to turn a lot of people away or do provisional voting. So what you do with the provisional is if you show up and you're not able to prove who you are through ID and whatnot, you get to go ahead and vote. So let's just say there's 30 reasons why you don't have ID with you.
Right.
You get to go ahead and vote, but it's provisional, and it goes in a special envelope, gets sealed, and it goes up to the courthouse. And if the signatures match up, you get to vote. Your vote counts that night.
Right.
If the signatures don't, you have to come in and show your ID card. So what we get a lot of times, people show up, hey, I'm here, but I don't have my ID card. We're like, okay, do you think you can make it back before 7?
Right.
I'm not sure. Let's go ahead and vote you.
Right.
We make the provisional, we seal it, and there's a stamping system on
Right.
it. It's sealed. And then if you make it back with your ID card, you can place it in the ballot box yourself.
Gotcha.
If you don't, you got to get up to by 9 o'clock. You got to get up to I would tell you 8 o'clock.
Right.
We usually shut all that down by 9, but we're usually 100% at that time. So if you get up there by 8 o'clock-ish, they're still coming in. It takes us about an hour to turn our stuff in.
Sure.
You could still show your ID card and put it in yourself.
Now, speaking of ID card, which one?
So I would tell you the best thing is your driver's license, but you're allowed federal and state IDs.
Right.
That's to include state college IDs.
Not real ID.
You don't have
Don't have to have that
real
yet.
real ID.
Okay.
So if you didn't pay the extra $25, now if you want a free ID, free
Right.
state ID, you can get it at the DMV, and they'll tell you how to
Down in
do it.
Waynesville.
You could go on the Secretary of State's webpage,
Okay.
apply for it. They send you back exactly how to do it, and you end up at the DMV.
Okay.
But it's free. And it's all it is good for is your identification card.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can use your military ID. There's
Right.
plenty of federal IDs. You got passport ID card. You got
I was mostly concerned about the real ID. I didn't get it because they actually talked to me about it because I've got 5 other real type IDs and other
That's what-
passports.
yeah.
So
Yeah. Yep, I only did it because my wife got hers, and the picture was better than mine. Made me look 10
I had
years
no hope, so it doesn't matter. I look old and serious. So
Well, I got the real ID because
younger. I travel a lot.
I
So.
I was wanting to make sure that if I needed to get on
Sure,
a plane
sure.
to fly someplace,
Yeah.
No
I can
hassle.
do it.
yeah, I mean, I've got.
Because if I don't have the real ID,
Yeah, you're going.
You can't
Sooner
get
or
on
later,
the
you're not going
plane.
to be able to.
yeah.
So because of this ID card,
Right.
we get a lot of misunderstanding and complaints about why we still send out a voter ID.
Right.
Your voter's ID has a lot of information on it.
Right.
All of your districts, all of the,
Yeah.
your committee member, it has all that information for you. And your neighbor could have a complete different voting ballot than you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's very common. So you could get on these sites and see your
Right.
house right down. Oh, I am where they said I am.
Right. Or the line is the district.
Yep, and it has all your dates and your.
Okay.
It doesn't have your signature on it until you sign it from home. So your voter's ID signature card, that's not the signature that they compare against. The one at the courthouse is the one.
What's at the courthouse that has my signature?
So let's say
When you
that
actually registered to vote.
Oh, when I
probably the
registered
very
Registered
first-
to vote.
very first
forever
time.
ago.
whether it was 1972
I
or
could have had a hangover. I don't know what I signed out.
I guarantee you my signature doesn't match it.
Well, it's just like, okay, I went out in the presidential primaries. The Democrats said you have to be registered as
Right.
a Democrat to be a delegate. Well, I wanted to be a delegate for the district and for the state.
Right.
So I went out and re-registered, and indicated that I was, put the Democrat down so that I could be the delegate.
Right.
Okay. The problem is that they have you sign online.
Okay. It's a magic marker with the mouse.
Well, the whole thing, I signed it 9 times before I just finally gave up because I have, as I said, I have a complicated name. My
Sure.
first name is Mary Frances, Mary. Then I lift my finger
Sure.
up and make the F, the capital F, Rances. Okay, the problem is that when I pick that finger up and put it to
Your
make
signature's
the F,
done.
no, it comes over the Y in Mary. Okay, it jams it together. It won't let me.
It's going to be a retinal scan sooner or later.
Well,
It's coming to. It's too easy not to do it. Yeah.
yeah. At this,
It sure
at this
sounds an
point-
antiquated way. I mean, but
So basically, if they're comparing it to that signature,
Sure.
it's never going to match.
so be
Unless
ready
I
to go
signed
down
it
there.
online. Yeah.
So be ready to go down to the courthouse. Before I digress too far, what was the?
There's a lot more on the
Okay.
registration card, why it's important. So I'll just go quickly. So
Sure.
your mailing address and your residence address.
Right.
A lot of people are confused which one they put in there. So if you're no longer using that mailing address, or you have a forwarding address because you moved, or
Right.
you had a PO box and your mail goes to that, and you haven't checked it, they do a survey every 2 years of those cards. If you don't send back in the survey,
Right.
or it gets forwarded back, you get dropped from the rolls. You get put in a suspended status.
Oh wow!
So you have to go in and clean that up.
If you want to maintain your right to vote,
So if you
eligibility to vote,
got to check it. You can check it
Yeah.
on that same site
Okay.
we were looking at. It'll tell
Okay.
you, check my eligibility. It's on there, right? So then, of course, your district, your precinct.
Right.
So sometimes people don't know they vote on precinct stuff. They don't even know they're in a precinct. So it tells you, of course, you have a voter's
Well,
ID
like
number.
your fire protection and that kind of stuff
Sure.
is all district. So that's why it's important to know what district you're in, because
Okay.
you don't want to be voting on a fire protection thing that's not in your
that's
district.
right. Like here, I'm in St. Robert, so I should only be worried about St. Robert.
Right.
I'm in city limits.
So your ward, your water,
Right,
your
right.
commissioners, ambulance, fire department, all of that's on there.
Yeah, and there's a road bridge. I had the commissioners in here. We're talking to them about what they got on there.
Yep, state house, and there's this thing called the split.
Right.
So when all of these are combined, you might have that water and that fire department.
Right.
Your neighbor has that water but a different fire department. You just created a split.
Oh.
So there might be 3 people on that split. There might be 40 people or 100 people on that split. So those splits start to get confusing, and it'll tell you what your split is.
Huh.
Then you can self-help off of
Right.
your card. The address of where you need to go to vote. the location of your voting
Right.
is on that card. It's highlighted in yellow. It's
If there was one place a person could go to after watching our show and being edified to the point where they can't suck up any more information at all in their brain, who would they go to talk to for help?
the best way to do is just go right in the clerk's office.
Okay, down the
And
courthouse.
those ladies have windows. Just walk up the window, smile at them. They'll tell you everything.
Okay.
If they don't know it, they have the key to look it up.
Okay.
So even if you have something tricky, go in there. They can look it up.
Because I always say there's somebody that does this for a living.
That's what they're there for.
Yeah.
And they like it.
Yeah.
That's why they do the job.
I've always heard nice things about those ladies down there. I've never had a bad experience. One.
Yeah, they're awesome and they like doing it. The idea is to start from the right window to the left because that's
Right.
where the election clerks are. And
Okay.
everybody in there can help you, but they have multiple jobs.
Sure.
So if you go to that first window or the last window on the right before you go around the corner,
Right.
that's the best place to start. So,
Okay.
yeah, and they'll help you. You can knock on the door.
Sure.
They'll come out and help you. So if you're more comfortable that way. And then the other thing is those numbers that are on there, your ID number, the addresses,
On your voter ID card.
voter ID card. You might come up and you put your driver's license in, they can't find you. They type your name in to do a search, they don't find you. So they send you over to the supervisor and then we look you up. Plenty of times I put that number in on there and it worked.
Right.
If we weren't able to sign it, you'd have to do a provisional or go down to the courthouse
Right.
and vote. Well, if you're out at Richland and you're on your way home from work and your voting's not working out,
I'm going home.
so that ID card could help
Yeah.
you out, and that doesn't mean it's going to happen every time.
Voter registration roster. Registered voter roster. Maybe that's isn't there a roster online or somebody maintains that roster that's
I don't
available to the
necessarily know
public?
that you can access the entire roster by name and address, but you can get the numbers and the data. But there
What
is
about candidates? I thought candidates could.
there's this webpage we were just on. I can
Right.
show you real quick how to see the candidate roster.
Let me move back so everybody can see what we're doing
Back to the
here.
webpage and click on Dave's name.
It's always Dave's name.
Well, that's just whoever set up the webpage did it that way.
That's
so.
Dave did that.
Yeah, he likes the glory.
Well, he can have it. Let's see if
Actually, Dave's one of the most humble people I know. So.
that's what I say. He probably don't want it.
But
All right.
I'll pick on him anyways. It's fun.
Bought a couple motorcycles from
Yeah,
Dave.
click on Dave's name. It's the easiest way.
Okay.
I mean, all these toggles are the same, but I'm a vertical person, so.
Okay.
And what were we just talking about? I forgot already. You wanted to see the list of people,
I want to see the register. You can update your voter registration right there.
Yeah, you can update it. And
That would basically.
it'll bring you to Secretary of State's webpage.
Okay.
There. But we were looking for the list of candidates.
No. I want a list of voters.
Oh, you
If
can't.
I'm a candidate, I want to contact all.
That you'll have to go to the county. And
Okay.
the county can get you anything in the county, and it's at cost because they got to print it out.
Sure,
and
sure.
research it. Or you can go up to the Secretary of State and order it there.
Okay.
Yeah, you could call them up and make it.
Because I knew they maintained a
You can-
roll of voters
You can also go out to the van,
van.
which is
That's not the one in the alley. That's
no,
okay.
it's a
I'm learning something.
your candidates have access to the. What's the van stand for? Do you remember?
I'm not really sure exactly.
Because I always done it. Just call the
Yeah.
Secretary of State webpage.
Well,
You can make an appointment, or they order it for you.
Yeah.
We pull up
It's a small
and we
fee.
call
Yeah.
and we say we're representing Tara Hallmark and she's running for that
Yeah.
listing that you
that's what
got.
it's-
That's the van.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. I didn't
Okay.
know it's called a van.
From the Secretary of State also.
Okay.
It does. It comes
Yeah.
off the Secretary of State.
Okay.
My memory has.
That's fine. It's late and it's Friday.
I always just call it the van. I never broke down what the
Now,
actual.
each of the party and the clubs,
Sure.
and some of the committees, they have their sidebar unofficial
Sure.
list too. So when you're a candidate, you can go and get that. It's different in every county, different.
It's like sales leads is what it is. It really is, and especially have it automated because I know somebody was exploiting it, some technology and texting everybody legally, of course. But
So you
Well-
can buy that package
Yeah.
too. It's quite expensive. So companies will buy it and then they'll sell your portion that you're
Yeah.
interested in to you, so you can save money.
yeah,
Yeah.
But yeah, you can. The candidates can pull off of it, and then their phone banks
right,
will call.
right,
They also have the listings that they can text to people, and that's all pulled off the Secretary of State's
Right.
office.
Yeah.
And and basically we can go in and we can pull up off the computer and we can say, okay, I want people that lean Republican and vote Republican, and you can
Right.
pull that list up and it'll give you names, and you can say, okay, I want people that are basically independent and
right.
lean right or lean left. And
Billions
you
of
can-
dollars being studied in those analytics.
And there's a
Yes.
section on the Secretary of State webpage for candidates.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can find it all. It explains it to you. You watch a couple of videos.
Right.
I mean, they're very clear on how to get it, and it's
Okay.
easy to do. Let me show you. We're going to answer the other question we just
let me
had.
go back to the
next
page. I got-
election, August 6th. Click on that one.
Okay, let me move my mouse up there.
So you didn't ask this, but that what I interpret you to ask.
Sure.
Okay, so you have your calendar of events on when you need to sign up and not sign up. So for November, you have to be registered by the 9th of October to vote in November.
Where's the November election here?
It isn't on.
Oh,
there
okay,
yet.
this is just
So
for
this
just
is for
next
the
week.
6th. I mean, it's already too late for the 6th.
Right, sure.
So, but if you went for November, the 9th
Right.
of October, important date.
You want to say, oh yeah,
You want to double check, go
Yeah.
on the site and validate. You put your name in there, and once you put in there to validate it, you'll get a couple of selections, and it'll tell you everything that's on the election block. You can see a list.
okay.
If you go back one more, I actually clicked you on the wrong one
What?
that I wanted to show. Yeah, hit back one more.
Yeah, technology's inept I am.
What's on the ballot? Register to vote. Let's look at what's on the ballot. I think it's in that one.
That's what we just looked at. That's
Yeah,
the ballot.
'cause
That's
we didn't click the bottom one. Yeah, click that one. Real quick.
this one?
Yep, yeah, I'm pretty sure.
All right.
Okay, now back local candidates list. Yeah, click on that. I thought you were asking me, can you get a list of the candidates?
No.
That's how you do it right there.
Dave's using Google.
You got all their information. See, a lot of times people show up, they don't know if their candidate's Republican or Democrat.
Sure.
And we're not really supposed to tell them we can let you.
It's
look.
on the-
we
on
can let
the-
you look. But
right.
I'm not supposed to talk about one. I'm supposed
Sure.
to, be bipartisan or no partisan really. But here you can come and you can see what.
I did not know this existed.
Yep, it's right there on that second choice. And if you want to send them a love letter, you can, or a thank you letter.
We have an independent for public administrator too.
Yeah, see there.
Now you know.
Now, there's some things on here that you're not voting on because they're already
Sure.
settled.
Sure.
So you can see what's not settled by
Right.
going this list. But when we showed them the actual ballot, you don't see everything.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I just got an email. Can't remember the gentleman's name.
hey, Dave told me today anybody in the county that has any questions to call him
Good.
or to come down there and they're going to help him.
Well, you talked to Dave. Tell me to come on the show too.
Oh, okay, I'll invite him for
Yeah.
you. Yeah. He liked that. He does radios all the time.
Oh, I know. He's the public figurehead of the county.
Yep.
The voice of Pulaski County. No, that's me. I'm giving him credit. That's my name. I'm growing now. I'm growing.
So here's a quick note for you. So we started lightly talking about the voter ID card.
Sure.
So every 2 years they send that out to you.
Right.
For whatever reason, it gets sent back. Maybe the post office sends it back. It's lost in the mail. Gets sent back. You get dropped from the rolls, and you're over here hovering. You won't be able to vote. So you should go check yourself now.
Right.
Go on the page, put your name in, and make sure that. And if you have any issues, just go down there.
Sure.
You could fix it on the internet, but just go down and get
Yeah.
it fixed. You could vote right after you fix it.
People to do this for a living.
Yeah.
And you're paying their salary, and they're happy to do
Let them
it.
get it right the first time. You could get your signature the way it is
Yeah.
now, not from 1972. I say that because that's a common year.
I believe it is.
it is.
I signed that.
But if you do the math, you could say what age somebody would be at. 18-year-olds at 72. But anyhow, that's why it's important. We had a lot of people that we just aren't able to help
Sure.
because they moved 2-3 times, or they thought they were registered under this address. They're not. Now they got to go out, to Richland to vote when they're at St. Robert,
Yeah.
and they don't have time. So now they don't vote. That's not fair.
10.85%.
Hurts my feelings.
It should.
So
It's disappointing. I don't know about nationally. The national trend is probably picking up now. It's got some attention.
yeah.
Well, the only place currently in the county that you can vote, regardless of where you live, is at the courthouse.
Okay.
So that's the easiest way. If you don't
Okay.
remember where you voted last, the easiest way to handle it is just to go straight down to the courthouse, and they can give you the ballot. They can verify. They can update. Everything is done right then, right there, and you can vote. If you basically go to where you remember last voting,
Right.
and we've had this before, where they come in and they say, well, I voted here last time. Well, okay, when was the last time you voted? Oh, the presidential vote. Okay, well, that means that you voted 4 years ago.
At a minimum.
At a very minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you moved.
And you've moved 4 times since then.
And Eisenhower was running for office.
Yeah, that kind of
okay.
thing, yeah. And then that, basically we have access. We can put your name in. If you've ever been registered, it will pull up and it will
Right.
tell us where it was you were voting from. And it might not be in our county.
Okay.
It might not be in our district.
Right.
It might not be in our precinct. Okay. And at that point, my advice to them is go down to the courthouse.
Right.
They can probably get you updated and allow you to vote. We can let you vote here on a provisional.
It could be a lot easier just going to the courthouse and get it done right.
Yeah. And that way they know their
Yeah.
vote counted.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing, is that people want to make sure that they took the time, they walked in, they voted. They want to make sure their vote is counted.
Absolutely.
You
Who
know.
wouldn't?
Yep, your vote matters.
That's right.
Right.
So one interesting thing
Okay.
about all
Get one
this-
more nugget.
Okay, so they're very, very short on poll judges. So they
Well,
have,
what's a poll judge?
so poll judges are the people that sit and take your ID card and give you a ballot.
Is that what you two are doing?
Yeah.
We supervise them.
And they do within the county.
Yes.
Okay.
So they have 3 times what they need of Republicans, but you're more than welcome to come.
Right.
Right. And then, they only have about a third of what they have in Democrats. They need Libertarians and Independents and Constitution Party people.
Now, how many registered
Unaffiliated.
Democrats do we have voters?
The voters themselves,
figured-
we'd have to look it up. I don't
Okay.
know. Do you know
Well,
that number off the top of your head?
the
I used to know.
The one thing about the registration to vote, it wasn't until a year ago that you even had any way to indicate what party you voted
That's
for.
yeah. Because as a matter of fact, I asked that question. If I wanted to
Because
change
then-
parties, well, you really don't do that.
Right. Because you, up until about a year ago, when the legislature indicated that basically you could register being a person for any of the 5, and that's
Right.
why I said there's 5. Okay. You could list it on your voter registration card. I had mine out here a minute ago. I was going to show you, but I have my old card that doesn't list what party I'm
Right.
voting for, and then I have my new card because, as I said, I wanted to be a delegate, so I went out and registered. And so basically, it says Dem on it.
Right.
Okay? But basically, up until a year ago, you didn't indicate what party you were affiliated with.
Okay.
So there was no way anyone could tell who you voted for,
Right.
because our state just did not declare parties.
Interesting.
And people say, well, how do you get your estimations? Why are you so Well, I'm a supervisor judge. I see the
Sure,
the
sure.
rally. So all my numbers come from primaries.
Right.
Except for total voters, because we don't know how many
Right.
Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians voted in the general. So this is, for me, understanding what's going on, I see those total numbers and I could estimate. But
And the problem with that estimation is
That's
the
right.
fact
Go down the
that
road.
if you want to vote for sheriff,
Yep.
That's
then
right.
even if you're a Democrat and you want to vote for the sheriff, you pull that Republican ticket,
Yeah.
because it's the only way you're going to get a say as to who is the sheriff in Pulaski County, is to pull that Republican ticket in the primary.
I'll be dog.
That's right. And
Okay?
usually when you're doing
So therefore, it totally invalidates all
Sure.
of Tony's numbers,
Sure.
because Tony's numbers go by what they actually ticket they
Right.
pulled.
yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that in the general election, that's the way they voted.
Sure.
Because by the general election, it's usually already decided. Because
Most counties in the state, it's a 25% variant.
Wow.
Because of what we're describing in the primaries, right? So good stats are within 3% up or down.
Sure. Sure.
I like to get tighter than that. 'Cause,
Right.
I mean, I might bet a lunch.
Your standard deviation is 3.
But reasonably and fair in most counties, 25%. But because of our decline in people showing up, I did the numbers this morning, 33% variant.
Wow.
That's as close as I'm going to get in my estimates, knowing all the numbers.
You cannot even.
don't think
you
it's
shouldn't. You shouldn't even say a number now, because I mean that's so.
Yeah. Don't think it's unfair that I know those numbers, because you go to this web page,
Sure.
at the end of the election, you'll have the same numbers I have. I just have wherever I'm working that night, right?
Sure.
Right, but the next day I got to go look it up. So, and if you want to know the results, you come to this page and you'll have the results.
Let me go back to the page real quick.
People always ask me, did that pass or not? Well, we'll just zip on real quick and they'll tell you if it passed or not.
All right. Let me go back and just go
It'll
back
tell
on-
you by town or by voting area how much it
Where
won
are we
by,
looking?
how much it lost by.
Dave Ernst.
You hit Dave Ernst again, and it'll say election results. That same page we were on before. So I don't know how fast they'll post it on here. Probably the next day. I
Right.
think they have to do 72 hours.
And he's-
Don't quote me, but it's a couple of days. And,
Right.
and then they'll update it, and you'll be able to check the results. So you can go absentee, Big Piney,
Right.
see the results that way, or the
Okay.
combine that we used earlier,
Awesome.
and get your answers. And you just crunch those numbers. You know, if you want to do a quick thing just for out of interest, just go to the combined, and it breaks it down for you in averages.
Okay.
You know, if you want to know your area, then you go in there and check it out. I'm hoping that every area gets over 10%, but
Well, I would hope so. We can do better than that.
Well, as I said, that's what basically brought us in,
Sure.
because
Yeah.
we want to make sure that everybody has a say.
Sure.
And the only way you're going to have a say is if you show up and you vote.
Otherwise-
Now,
otherwise-
you don't necessarily have to go into your local precinct,
Right.
which is Lakeway is the middle school gym. Okay, you can go down to the courthouse and vote.
Right.
You don't have to come to your local precinct and vote.
Right.
We just want you to get in and vote.
whatever's convenient for you.
Whatever's convenient, whatever happens to, however it works out for you.
And eliminate the hindrances. Make sure there's no excuses why you didn't vote, and there's really no reason not to.
Yeah.
Because especially as available as Dave has made it for people to go out and vote in advance, with no excuse absentee ballotism. There's no excuse not to vote.
So one thing else that we get a lot, I just
Right.
saw in my notes, is people will come in and they're like, well, I don't know any of these people to vote for. Okay, that's fine. There's issues, though.
Right.
Read the issues, make sense of it, vote or not vote on it. You can leave anything you want blank.
That's what I thought. I was just about to ask that.
Yep. Yep.
If you're not comfortable voting on an issue, just don't vote on it.
I've had people put blank ballot. What do I do with this? Well, I don't want to spoil it.
Sure.
Put that's your vote,
Yeah, nothing.
because a no vote is a vote.
Yeah, it sure is.
So, but if they're like, no, I don't want to put it in, we spoil it. Everybody
Right.
initials it, and we seal it up, and then it gets
Okay.
counted as a no. It doesn't go into the voting system.
Right.
It just helps us make sure we didn't lose any ballots.
We're at 56 minutes.
Okay, we did the
That
math.
means I'm old and I'm getting close to bedtime, and I'm old and fat. And I got two kitties wanting to get ready to go to bed. But I thank you both for coming in. This has been awesome, a learning experience, and definitely need to do this before the primary or the general election in November.
Yeah, we'll do it again.
Well, actually, we should do a wrap up of this election after the
Yeah,
votes are
let's
counted
do
and
it.
tallied, see what your results are and what you learned, any observations, what we can do better.
Yeah, we'll talk about it, and you can hear the two of us.
That's right, that's right.
Because we can talk about it then.
That's right. That's right. And as a matter of fact, and because we got a couple of issues, I'm really interested. Of course, everybody's interested in the sheriff's election, and I'm excited that there's an independent. Miss Utley's independent and running. Adds a new variable, a new twist.
I don't want to put her on the spot, but I bet you she'd say yes. Her and I could be like the question askers if there's any debates coming up.
Oh, it's her.
Yeah.
Right?
Be happy.
That'd be awesome because in the next
Yeah.
debate, well, we will have a debate.
She carries lighter fluid, though. I'm going to have to get me a fire extinguisher.
Well, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to put you on mic because Tony, you've laughed enough.
Yes, sir.
Everybody else, thank you so much for tuning in. Doug Fowler here. Sorry about the technical questions. That beep's going. It means my MacBook doesn't like the USB 3 cable I plugged in there. But we got to rectify. If you have any questions, post them on the Facebook page. We'll see you next time. This is also available on YouTube for you to download. Go ahead. You need something else, Tony?
No, I'm just saying.
Okay. And you're still on camera. My camera's not working. You couldn't, but nobody really cares. So.